Today we talk about Conor McGregor and him assaulting a bunch of UFC fighters. We also talk about my discovery of a great thinker known as Stefan Molyneux. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Also, we talk about Coyote Peterson, basically the successor to Steve Irwin, and insects biting him, extremely poisonous ones. We also cover the Joker origin movie, the Venom movie, and I answer a few questions posted to me on Twitter. I'm Johnny Massacre, and this is the Johnny Massacre Show. Right, so Conor McGregor is acting up. Conor McGregor, the UFC champion, Ultimate Fighting Championship champion, who hasn't fought in the UFC for about 2 years, basically because he went on a detour to fight arguably the best boxer of all time, Floyd Mayweather, in a boxing match, and made a shitload of money from that. And after that, he holds all the cards, and so he hasn't been back in the ring, basically because I guess the UFC exploit their athletes. They don't pay them enough. They're famous for paying them peanuts, and Conor McGregor knows his worth. Conor McGregor is the UFC. If he's not fighting, no one really gives a fuck about the UFC. Let's be honest. I don't care if you're a super UFC fan or anything. Without Conor McGregor in it, it's always going to be a bit underground. Conor McGregor made it what it was, and he is UFC, and McGregor knows that, and so he's not fighting because it's obviously money reasons. Now, Conor McGregor is losing respect, it appears, a little bit, if you read the comments online, although I suspect they are a noisy minority. The comments under his SNS social networking site posts are always 50-50 split, with people loving him and people hating him and saying you're not fighting, you're not doing anything. But look, if you're famous for fighting and you're not fighting, it ultimately your star will start to fade. I don't care, Just take a football player. Imagine if Messi stopped playing football for 2 years and concentrated on just his image and self-promo. His star will fade, and he will be replaced by another fighter, or footballer, or sportsman, or athlete. So Conor McGregor, I think he's been out the game for quite a long time. However, every time I think he's disappearing and his star is fading, he kind of proves that he still has the hunger. So in this case, apparently Khabib, who is a UFC fighter who's never lost before, who everyone says would be Conor McGregor's worst nightmare. People have said that about previous Conor McGregor opponents, Jose Aldo, for example, who Conor McGregor knocked out in about 13 seconds. But people say Khabib, this Russian guy who's great at wrestling and very tough, he's been trained as a fighter from a young age, a bit of a Spartan, would be able to beat Conor McGregor. Now, apparently this guy Khabib cornered one of Conor McGregor's mates in the UFC. He doesn't have many friends because he's so antagonistic, and he's like the king gorilla alpha male, as evidenced by the tattoo on his chest. But anyway, so he does have a few mates, and one of his mates is called I think Artem Lobov. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Khabib apparently cornered him, and this has been confirmed all over Twitter by some of Conor McGregor's entourage, his hangers-on, who are kind of sponging off him, who are trying to get a bit of, social media fame from associating with Conor McGregor. They've confirmed that Khabib basically cornered Conor's mate, Artem Lobov, and said to him, basically like roughed him up a bit, and said something like, where's Conor now? Conor can't save you now. So Conor jumped on a fucking plane from Ireland on a private jet with like 20 of his mates, with the sole intention of going down there and fucking up Khabib. I think that's really cool. This is come on. This is great drama. This is great theatre. This is entertaining. people find this stuff entertaining when people have a public feud, especially if there's violence involved. It's interesting. As long as it's not happening to you, it's entertaining and it's interesting. Yes, now all the moral warriors come out and they're saying, oh, Conor McGregor, he's such a terrible influence and he's such a whatever, all this bad stuff. But anyone who makes public displays of their supposed virtues and morals actually is the least morally sound or virtuous person you can find, because people have a motive for making a public display. You always have to question that. When people make a public display of how good a person they are, actually they're showing you quite the opposite, because good people don't need to advertise it like that. And look, what Conor McGregor did, he attacked the bus with his mates in the parking lot. It was mad. He picked up this kind of trolley and threw it in the window, shattered the glass. Now, what happened then, apparently the glass shattered into the face of a guy. These fucking UFC fighters, their names, I don't know how to pronounce them. Michael Chiesa, I guess is his name. Chiesa. Let me know in the comments below if I got that right. I'm sure you will. Chiesa. The glass shattered into his face and he cut his head and his face, and now he's dropped out of the main event. Right, so that's quite serious shit, and this is all on camera, multiple angles. Then there's a guy called Ray Borg. He had corneal lacerations. Cornea is a part of your eye, so that means glass went into his eye and cut his fucking eye. I don't know if he pulled out as well. So Conor McGregor made two people pull out, and then one of the vice presidents of the UFC was on the bus. Apparently it was the whole red corner was on the bus, and so it was a mix of fighters all in the red corner, and the vice president said he thought he was going to die. And I just thought, call me an arsehole, I guess I am, but I thought that's really cool that Conor McGregor, a man of this standing with this much wealth, instead of resting on his laurels and losing his motivation and hunger and not giving a fuck, he flew the fuck down there on a fucking plane with all of his hood mates, stormed the UFC complex, went into the basement and delivered on his mission, scared the shit out of the guy, obviously, who'd roughed up his mate, and like threw shit through their bus window and fucked all these people up and made people, there was collateral damage, people dropped out of the main event, but he didn't care because he was so fucking loyal. That's like someone fucking up your mate and you going into town where your mate was fucked up and just smash people at random. It's absolutely mad, but the fact that he does that shows you he's a real guy. I don't care what you think about him morally, but he's a real dude. He makes things happen. He does things, whether they're right and wrong. And I just think that's really fucking cool. Call me an arsehole, I think that's cool. And I think everyone who's been fucked over or bullied at some point in their life wants to get revenge and would love to go and fuck over the bully. So you can all take your moral high ground, but secretly when people screw you around, you fantasize about doing what Conor McGregor had the balls to do. He didn't have to do it at all. As I said, he's got the money, and now he's risked all of his reputation. Not so much I think reputation, but unless you believe the fake news media who are saying, oh, it's a disgusting, egregious thing. It's like, whatever, mate. He's hardly killed someone, but the lacerations is pretty serious. That is pretty crazy. But still, I don't think he intended to lacerate someone's face. Although if you drive a car recklessly and you end up killing someone, you're still going to be punished for it. But still, I don't think the intention was to blind anybody. I think he just wanted to screw over Khabib and his crew. But still, he went out there and he made something happen. And I just think it's I love Conor McGregor because he basically acts out every single male fantasy. He lives that life. And now he's going to get sued for assault, and who knows how much money he could lose. He might never be allowed back into the States because he's probably going to get some kind of criminal record. And he did that for his mates. And you might say, oh, he has an anger problem or whatever, but the overwhelming response on Twitter was, you all wish you had a mate who'd do that for you. And that's true. So it's just an unreal situation. Just an unreal situation. And my initial reaction was, this is amazing promo for the UFC and this is awesome and it could be staged. But then when I realized he was arrested and I saw him in handcuffs, then I thought, oh, he could have really fucked himself here. But people will chastise him for that. But if he wasn't like that, there's no way he would have close to $100 million fortune right now, because it's that character that makes you a fighter and makes you a brawler and makes you savage and makes you ruthless and makes you merciless and makes you an alpha male and makes you a winner and makes you an entrepreneur and makes you the #1 viral star in the world right now. And it could not be any other way. You can't have that kind of personality without having the dark side. So I thought the president of the UFC's actions were kind of disgusting, what he said about Conor. Now, he basically ratted on Conor. His first press conference, he said things like, was Conor McGregor on drugs? What? Why would you say that about someone in your company, even if they're fucking you over or doing something shitty? I'm sorry, you don't rat on the people in your circle, especially the people that made you rich. You can contact him personally. You don't mention drugs and stuff about UFC fighters. That's not on. And he basically threw him to the wolves. He gave a full account of what happened. And he didn't need to, because that can all be done behind the scenes. So it's never rat on your friends. Why? It's just the code. That kind of code means you're responsible for your actions. And you're also responsible for the shit that comes your way. Even if you feel you're the victim. No, you take control of it and responsibility. You can do things professionally behind closed doors. Don't rat on people. Don't be a pussy, basically. That's just the way I've always handled things. I've never called the cops on someone, I've never called the police. If some shit happens, I'll handle it myself. And I think people should too. And that's why America's a great country. You know, the whole gun laws thing, you can have a gun, you can stop people. It empowers the people. You take care of yourself. But Dana White threw Conor to the wolves there. And he said it's the most disgusting thing that's ever happened in the history of the UFC. He said it's damaged his reputation. Actually, it's what it is incredible promo for the UFC. Everyone's talking about Conor McGregor. Everyone's talking about the UFC. Everyone wants to see Conor McGregor versus Khabib. It's the ultimate promo. Haven't you seen WWE? That's that kind of storyline where someone comes in and assaults someone and gets arrested. That's a tried and tested storyline of the WWE that was pioneered by Stone Cold Steve Austin, who created the highest viewing figures in the history of the WWE. At that time, it was called WWF, before the World Wildlife Fund filed a copyright claim against them. But Stone Cold Steve Austin did exactly the same thing. He'd come in and he'd assault someone and he'd get arrested. And that brought in what was known as the Attitude Era of the World Wrestling Federation, or World Wrestling Entertainment, where instead of having a good guy, it had an anti-hero. And that's what Conor McGregor is. He's the anti-hero. And he's just giving you the ultimate promo. So when that fight happens with Khabib, it's going to be the biggest fight ever. And who's going to get fucking rich off that? Dana White. And why is Dana White so fucking rich? Conor McGregor. And so Dana White coming out and throwing Conor McGregor to the wolves. What a fucking dick. You can say whatever you want to the police, but to do it publicly, fuck that. Seriously, I'm not down with that at all. Because you've got to keep the code of silence if you want to have respect and handle your business. That's my way. So that was kind of interesting, and that's still unfolding, those events. Next thing I want to talk about is a guy called Stefan Molyneux. He's a kind of right-wing conservative thinker who gives very long monologues on YouTube, and he's kind of in the same bracket as Jordan B. Peterson and Ben Shapiro. He's political, he's outspoken on things like immigration and Black Lives Matter and transgenderism and all these topics that are buzzwords today. And he's an incredibly smart guy. He's a great speaker, and I love what he does. I watched this video where he talks about the YouTube shooter, and it was much more than that. He went into the psychology of it, and he talked about the quest for fame, the hunger for fame, and his monologue and analysis about the YouTube shooter was basically an essay, a spoken essay on the dangers of pursuing fame. And as someone that's doing that, obviously because I'm making this video, it was fascinating, and it nearly moved me to tears, and I related so much to what this guy's talking about. I played it to a few mates, and I don't think they're on the same quest as I am, and they said, well, what he says is cool, but if you give up your dreams at 30, life would be a pretty boring place for everyone else, because then there'd be no famous people and no entertainers. But I think if you are searching fame and you're an artist, you have to watch this guy's speech, Peter Molyneux, on YouTube, about the YouTube shooter. Check it out. But he basically says you can go for fame, but do it for virtue. Don't do it for narcissism. Don't do it for ego. and he says it will eat you. Those were his last words, he said, if you do it. And he also quotes a lot of philosophers. It's very, very interesting stuff. And he revealed, I think, maybe for the first time, that he studied drama and he got so far, and he was an actor and he was a screenwriter, and he was well educated in drama and screenwriting, and I think screenwriting and things like that. But even he didn't make it. And so that's why I think he's such a great speaker, because he channels all that acting experience and screenwriting experience into his performance and script. So I would definitely check that out. Stefan Molyneux. Another thing I discovered recently on YouTube is a channel called Brave Wilderness. I'm a bit late to the party. This guy is like the new Steve Irwin. He's the guy who hosts it is called Coyote Peterson, and he has a cowboy hat, just like Steve Irwin, or a hunter hat, whatever you call it, an Indiana Jones hat. And he wrestles crocodiles and does all that crap that Steve did, but he takes shit to another level. Now, he basically, his most popular YouTube videos are when he finds some deadly insect with a bite or a sting, like a spider, a scorpion, or a bee, or a wasp, and even fish, like a lionfish with deadly spines, and he will allow it to bite him. And holy crap, it's so entertaining and educational. You can actually see firsthand what the poison and venom does to people. Check this guy out if you're not too squeamish. The one to check out, the introduction to Coyote Peterson, if you've never seen this guy, is the centipede bite. Fuck me. That is some terrifying shit. I think that's famous for having a painful bite. If you read about it, it's famous. But a lot of other insects have stolen the limelight and get the headlines when it comes to the most painful bites, like the bullet ant and things like that. But he says it himself, that it's basically the most painful bite he's ever taken. And he said this, but he said the Gila or Gila monster, this lizard that he was bitten by accidentally, was worse in some ways. But I've seen that on video, and his reaction to this bite from the centipede is just shocking stuff. He's crying. He's literally crying. This hard as nails guy who gets bitten by tarantulas and scorpions and all kinds of things, stung by scorpions, is crying like a baby. And he says, stop the camera. And he's like in a high-pitched voice. And it reminded me from that scene from RoboCop where the guy gets blown apart by shotguns and his voice goes all high and he's just getting destroyed. It's really unsettling. He's getting absolutely destroyed by the centipede venom in his arm. He's crying. Tells him to stop the camera and explains he's never had to stop the camera before. And I wish they would have kept rolling surreptitiously to show you how bad it was. But he was freaking out on camera. I can't imagine what he was doing off camera. I mean, and the guy could have... I'm obviously not going to... I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. But I think when you get bitten by these things, you can go into a state of shock, which can be really dangerous for you. And I mean, that guy could have gone into shock, and who knows, he could have had a heart attack or something, because he was freaking the fuck out. Coyote Peterson, what a legend. Okay, so there's a Joker origin movie. I just discovered this is happening. You might not have heard of it. So apparently that's coming. DC looking to make the DC universe, which I think they've done an extremely bad job of with Justice League, which was a piece of shit. If you're a Justice League fan, I got to tell you, you're wrong. That was not a good movie. That will never be remembered in the annals of great cinematic history as a fine cinematic work. And I don't care if it's just casual entertainment. It's boring. It's cliched. Special effects are awful. Justice League sucked. Batman vs Superman sucked. Ever since Christopher Nolan left the movies, an intellectual filmmaker, it's gone to shit, Batman. And now we have the Joker. It's executive produced by Martin Scorsese, amazing. Acted by Joaquin Phoenix, one of those people you always hear his name but you've never seen any of his movies. You can let me know in the comments which ones I should see. But it's directed by Todd Phillips, who's the director of The Hangover. Why would you choose that guy to direct an origin movie about the Joker, which could be absolutely fascinating? He basically has no movie history at all other than The Hangover. So, I mean, I don't really care about the Joker. I mean, I'm obviously interested to see it, the trailers and stuff, but I can't imagine that being good. But then let's give it a chance. You know, the director's done a lot of comedy, but let's give him a chance with this one. Venom movie. I'm really looking forward to the Venom movie. He's one of my favourite comic book characters. apparently Woody Harrelson has been cast as Carnage, the main villain, which I'm really excited about. I love Woody Harrelson, and when he's going to play a bad guy, someone like Carnage, where he has to be completely deranged, psychopathic, I think that's going to turn out really well. Apparently he's not the main villain, and some people online are complaining about that. No, guys, have you seen other movies where they shoehorn millions of characters into the same movie, like Spider-Man 3 with Sandman and the Green Goblin and Venom? It's not going to work. So don't put Carnage into the first movie. You've got one symbiote, which is the main Venom character. Just let's develop that a bit, and then Carnage can come later. So I'm quite excited about that. Now that's about it for today. I just got 2 questions from Twitter, so let's see what they're saying. Peter Hill 07 asks, why the obsession with black? Once you go black, you never go back, right? I assume you're meaning black clothes. Black's so cool. I'm inspired by women quite a lot, and there's some famous women who wear black who I just think are really cool. They're gangster. Like Jennifer Aniston, for example. She's ruthless. She's made a shit ton of money off being beautiful and having plastic surgery. I think that's really brave. She knew what she wanted and she went out to get it. And when she wears black, I noticed that it makes her look sexy and strong, and it's noticeable. It kind of draws the eye for some reason. It's a power color. And I remember seeing a girl in the club once. She wore this black strappy top and she walked past me, and my head just followed her instinctively. So, you know, the opposite sex is the source of much inspiration. You cannot take your eyes off them. And so when you they might bring things to your attention that you might not normally think about, because women are much more concerned with image and beauty, and the men are, without a fucking doubt. The amount of time women spend doing their face in contrast to men. And I think that bleeds through to fashion and other things as well. And so, you know, women often have amazing fashion sense. And so from there, I started noticing all the guys wearing black stuff. Especially in movies, action movies, people like Neo from The Matrix, all those characters, and Wesley Snipes from Blade, and Batman, of course, and Venom, who we talked about earlier, and the black Spider-Man suit. There's something about the color black, which is a power color. It's instills fear in the enemy. It is strong, powerful. It demands respect. It is stealthy. It helps you blend in with the shadows. It's the color of night. And it's the infinity, it's the abyss, it's the dark side, but it's also very feminine. The yin and yang, the blackness represents the feminine side and the feminine color and presence. Just look it up, it's true. So black is just an awesome color, and I just love wearing it. The thing is, it is a power color and people notice it, but it's nowhere near as noticeable as something like a pink or a green or red, which is shockingly noticeable. So if I wanted to be noticed more, I might wear other colors. So sometimes, perversely, people don't notice you, ironically I should say, even though maybe that's what you're going for. You want to look strong and noticeable, but sometimes when you're in the stealth mode, you can disappear from people. So it's a versatile, durable color, and I just love black. Dagaro asks, what do you think about the next Star Wars movie? Do you think it's going to be good? No. Force Awakens was terrible. It was directed by Abrams. This movie is directed by Abrams. The feminist social justice agenda that is infecting like a cancer Hollywood and California and New York and London and major cities all around the world was doubled down on in the sequel to Force Awakens. So it's going to be tripled down on in the third one, I assume. And all of the characters fucking suck. No one gives a shit about Daisy Ridley. Who cares? Most boring character in the history of Star Wars, or any of the other characters. And Finn was kind of interesting in The Force Awakens, and then Last Jedi just destroyed him, turned him into a complete cuck, falling around some minging Asian girl. And he did fuck all in that movie. And then at the end of the movie, as Ben Shapiro said, they had a chance to kind of do something new in Star Wars, where the Emperor was dead, and now the the light side and the dark side could join forces and start something new. But no, Kylo Ren just said, I'm going to be a bad guy, I'm going to go to the dark side. Daisy Ridley went off her own way. It's going to be the same old crap. It's going to be awful. I'm going to see it, and I'm going to review it, and I'm going to rant about it. If it's good, the thing is, my expectations are so low. Maybe I'm going to enjoy it. Do I really believe what I'm saying? No. I hope I do. But I don't think the next Star Wars movie is going to be good. So thank you, Dagaro, for your question. If you have any questions, make sure to tweet me at Johnny Massacre, JOHNNYMASSACRE, ACY, on Twitter. And you can ask me questions. Hashtag it, The Johnny Massacre Show. And I will answer your questions on the next Johnny Massacre Show. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you had, please like and subscribe to get more Massacre shows. I'm a music producer, rapper, and DJ living in Tokyo, Japan. So if you subscribe, you'll also see some cool stuff about my life in Japan. Also get to hear my music and see or hear some of my performances. And just feed my narcissism and ego, which I'm trying to get under control. So thank you, and see you on the next one.